Good morning, everybody. And if you can hear me, welcome to today's class in the series, and which is going to be the last lap of the lecture that we've started over some months back. And we thank God for where He has taken us thus far. The topic for today is classification and evolution of living things. And I'll be standing in for Professor Ogunkami, who is supposed to take this aspect of the course. By now, you've covered about 6 topics. This will make it the 7th. We started from concepts of biology and the methods of scientific inquiry, down to biomolecules, to reproduction, to research structure and function, reproduction and animal reproduction and development, down to ecology by Dr. Dada, where you learn about interactions between and among living things or organisms, talk about community, ecosystem, biosphere, energy, conversion or flow in the ecosystem via food chain and food web, and all of that you must have learned. Then to today, that we're starting classification and evolution of living things. Please, I don't want your attendance. Please stop dropping the attendance. If you have not done so, please stop dropping the attendance. We know how we take our attendance. So please stop dropping attendance, please. I don't want to mute the chat room because we might have important information and I don't like the way your message is popping up. So please stop dropping attendance. I think I should drop it there. Stop dropping attendance. I don't need your names. I don't need your matric number or department. I know where to get it when I need it. So please stop letting them come in. I think before we proceed, I should address your one salient point about your test. Some of you have been saying that you wrote the test, but you cannot see your score. Sorry, your score is not $1 billion, right? That I can hide. I can't even hide any money that is not mine. So, so please, if you wrote the tests and you submitted and when due, there's no way you will not see your score now. So please, those of you that you are saying that you wrote the test, if you are not getting any confirmation like your responses have been submitted and you will get your result after so and time, you did not do the test. If what you see or saw after submitting was come back at 5 o'clock to write the test, that means the test has ended, right? Because by that time, the time has passed. So if you are not seeing anything like your responses has been submitted, successfully, then you did not submit or you did not write the test. So please, today is another day of temptation. You are going to be tempted by 3 p.m. So please, I beg you in the name of whoever or whatever you believe in, submit your test before time so that we avoid stories that touch. And please, if you are thinking that the test will be opened again, like we did last time, once the test is closed this time around, it's closed. We did that last week because we are just welcoming you. It's possible that some of you are just learning the process. So please, all those glitches that you might have faced last time, treat it now before 3 p.m. And once the test closed, it is not going to be opened. Don't think that is how they have been saying. Please, I am telling you now, it is not going to be opened. I'm not going to appeal to the HOD to let us open it again like I did the last time. That is that for you. I think that is all I want to address about the test. Okay, about the timing. Yes, the test duration is 5 minutes for this one. Some of you have come to my DM to be asking, how can we do 5 questions? Is the question going to be reduced? Some people were suggesting it's going to be 5 questions. Some say it's going to be 10 questions. Don't worry. When you see the test, you will know how many questions you have. But it is going to be 5 minutes. The moment the network stabilizes, the link, because the last time it was around 5:15 p.m. before everything normalized. So this time around again, we are going to open that window for normalcy. When we have normalcy, I will start counting. All right. So please, all of this will be posted on the faculty platform, especially because some of you came to my DM to complain that you did not hear that, did not know that the test has been shifted. The deadline has been shifted to 5:40 p.m. 5:40, yes. The first one closed at 5:40 p.m. Right, for 25 minutes between 5:15 and 5:40. Some of you that are complaining about time, please don't know the story that you would tell this time around. The first test lasted between 5:15 and 5:40. 5:15 was when I saw that some people have started submitting. That means the site was okay then, because I followed through everything. The moment you submit, I will see your response. Then we will have what is it called? By the time I start seeing responses, I will start taking my time. So that means everybody is now okay with their time. Then somebody came to my DM to mention about maths, MTH101. Please, in the group where I have some course reps, we decided for 3 p.m. I gave them 3 options that FSC, you are supposed to be having practical for that time on Monday, 3 to 6 p.m. So on the timetable, what we have for that time for year 1 is biology course. So if you have gone to fix MTH101 with your lecturer, please, you cannot override the official faculty timetable. So deal with it. Then some of you do come to my DM to ask to be added to the group of class reps and assistant class reps. Please, that group is not for class rep and assistant class rep. It's for course representatives that we decided to contact on our own. They did not pay us to get into the platform, and there's no point having everybody there. The reason why I don't want to have everybody there is that if I put most people there, I know that you might be neglecting your colleagues, that they will not be getting responses. So then when I put few, you know that their stake lies on you. And if I have any complaints, I will go any length to deal with anyone on that platform that I have any complaint from their class that they are not getting any information that I pass. So those of you there, you are not there just for fun, and you are there on privileges. Please don't abuse the privilege of being on that platform. You're on that platform to send information to your colleagues. Don't hide information from them. Class link, don't hide it. Don't hoard it, right? Test link, I will release it later, maybe by 12 noon. I will send the test link to your, it's even ready. I will send it to the platform. It won't be active until 3 p.m. So you can start trying. Say you want to hack into my system. Let's see how you can do that. So the class link, the test link will be sent ahead of time. Please, when you have it, send it to your colleagues so that nobody will be saying that they are not seeing the test link. Right? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. I think we have spent almost 15 minutes addressing past events. So let us do classification and evolution of living things now. Okay, good morning once again, everybody. Classification and evolution of living things. There are over 1.7 million species, or more than that has been described by scientists. If you look around you, you will see, I'm sure you guys can hear me. You can answer yes or no in the chat room so that I can. There are several millions of species that have been described by scientists. If you look around you, you will see that you are not the only organism in that environment. We have cockroach, we have mosquito, we have plants, we have other species of animals, other groups, animals, right? Then if you look around, you will see that where organisms even live, organisms that live on land, some inside water, some in the air or on trees, right? So if we have so much number of organisms, population of organisms, then how do we tell which is which? How do we tell whether this belongs to this particular group of organism, or we can call these ones birds or aves or mammals? So the branch of biology that deals with this classification, naming, and identification of organisms is known as systematics. So systematics is the branch of biology that deals with identification, naming, and classification. Classification is the grouping of organisms according to their shared properties of evolutionary history, right? The act of placing organisms into groups based on shared properties, right? That is simply what classification is. Earlier, don't be confused, I said systematics. Systematics has three parts. Systematics is simply the identification, naming, and classification of organisms, right? Then the naming and classification, we call it taxonomy, right? The identification and naming, right, falls under taxonomy. So taxonomy is the branch of science or biology that classifies organisms. Or you can also say taxonomy is the study of classification of organisms, right? Then we have naming, known as binomial nomenclature, whereby you give names to organisms, right? Then the grouping is the classification. So when you are grouping organisms, you want to determine the similarities, the features, the properties, the characteristics. The characteristics that these organisms share in common, that they have in common. Is it morphological features, like the way they appear? Is it physiological? Is it genetic? Is it structural composition? Right? These are different parameters that you can use to classify organisms, to place them into groups. That you can say, you stay here as plant, you stay here as a animal. Then when you have your animal, you can say, okay, some of you here stay under the class Mammalia, right? So that is what we call classification, placing organisms into groups according to their shared properties. And why do we do that? So that we can identify. So it's for the purpose of identification. If you define classification without stating why is it necessary? Why do you need to classify organisms? It's so that you can be able to identify them. So the essence of classification is identification. So these are the key terms that the highlighted, the words in red fonts are the terms that if anyone asks you to define classification, these are the terms that we expect. Although you are not writing MCQ, you are not writing a theory, your exam is going to be MCQ, but You want to say that naming, yes. You want to see grouping, yes. You want to see shared properties or similarities, yes. Evolutionary history. You can either use their evolutionary pattern or history to classify them. Okay. So if you look at this, how would you classify these organisms that we have here? It's just like when you visit your supermarket. You go to a supermarket and you don't know where to get anything because everywhere is scattered, right? The groceries, the toiletries, the drinks, the children's stuffs, and all of that. Everything scattered. How do you maneuver yourself to be able to get what you want or what you need? So the brain behind supermarket arrangements is also classification, right? Because where you see groceries different from where you see electronics and what have you, and you go to those different sections of the supermarkets to pick whatever you need. So also we can classify organisms based on what they have in common. Are these toiletries? Are these beverages, right? So that is the same idea behind classification of living things. So if you look at these organisms that we have, we can use different things to classify them. Yes or yes? We can use color to classify them, like we have here, right? We have a Venn diagram-like structure here, whereby we have some that are blue in color to our left-hand side, the ones that are red in color to the right-hand side, and we have that intersection between blue and red in the middle. So this classification is based on what? It's based on color. We can also use habitats, right? The type of organism that we have to classify them. You can see the fish there. You can see the insects there, the butterfly, and you can see the aves, the birds there. So these are models that we can use to classify organisms. Number one, we use color, like we see for this our example. Who are these people sending attendance now? Did you just join? Don't force me to remove you, these people. I said stop dropping at we have these animals or organisms that you can classify using different parameters. So what are the types of classifications? There are two major types of classification. We have the artificial classification, which is with grouping organisms for the purpose of convenience, right? You are using like morphological parameters, what you can easily see, right, to classify them. So you are using maybe the heights. All the short people come to this side. Let's call you dwarf, right? Then the tall people on one side, where they live. Do they live on land, in water, or on trees? Are they arboreal according to their sizes as well? The lepa and the orobo. I'm not body shaming anybody, right? Okay, so that is artificial classification, grouping organisms for convenience sake. You don't want to stress yourself to go to the lab and do experiments and look into their DNA, look at their physiology and what have you. So for the purpose of convenience sake, you are using morphological features or characteristics to classify, or that is artificial. Then we have okay, these are examples of artificial classification. For instance, these are leaf types, right? You can see, are they simple? Are they compound? Are they pinnate compound? Then the leaf arrangement, you want to see, is it opposite or alternate? I'm sure you know what we mean by opposite and alternate leaf arrangement. If you look at this here, you will see that this is what we call opposite. You will see that the leaves are, you see, this is the leaf, opposite, opposite, and opposite each other, right? But look at this one that we call an alternate. One is here, one is here, one is here, then one is here. So these are different morphological features of classifying organisms using the artificial, under the artificial type of a classification, right? So for convenience sake, what we can see, right, to classify organisms. Then we have natural classification. Here we attempt to group organisms according to natural relationships, right? So we rely on more evidence than what we can see under artificial classification. So we want to look at their embryology. You cannot study embryology by just looking at physical appearances. You cannot determine physiology, for instance, by mere looking. You cannot determine the DNA arrangements or similarities in organisms without going into the lab to molecular level to extract DNA to genotype, physiology, and what have you. So that is natural classification for you. You need more evidence than morphologic, than what you can see to classify organisms. Okay, before we go to the issue of classification, we have established the definition of classification, that is the act of placing organisms or grouping organisms according to their shared properties or evolutionary history for the purpose of identification. We said we can use different parameters to classify organisms, color, shapes, and what have you, right? Then we look at the different types of classification that we have. The natural, using physiology and what have you, and the artificial, using morphological characteristics that we can see or observe, like height, stem, the height, the habitat, or the size. Then let's look at history of classification. We can look at this under two angles, right? We can look at it from the early systems of classification pioneered by Aristotle, who was a Greek philosopher that lived between 384 and 322 before Christ. So he divided organisms into two main groups, the plants and the animals. So, but here there was a lacuna in his class because there was no consistency in his classification models. Then in classified organisms, we said that he classified organisms into two, whether you are a plant or the animals. For plants, he further classified them into three, based on the differences in their stems. So you can have the trees, the shrubs, and the herbs. Then animals using their habitat, where they are found. The air dwellers, known as the arboreal, the water dwellers, known as the aquatic organisms, and the land dwellers, known as the terrestrial organisms. Let me take it again. I said there are early and modern systems of classification. The early system was pioneered by Aristotle, who classified organisms into two major groups, the plants and the animals. He further classified them into three each. Number one, for the plants, he used the nature of their stem. Are they trees? Are they shrubs? Are they herbs? You may want to go and look for the differences among the three: trees, shrubs, and herbs. Then animals into their habitats. So he used habitat to classify animals further, whereas he used the stem, the nature of the stem, to classify plants further. Animals into aquatic, terrestrial, or arboreal. Then plants, whether they are trees, shrubs, or herbs. I'm sure that is clear. Then we have the modern system of classification pioneered by Carolus, or Carl, C-A-R-L, Linnaeus. So he developed the modern taxonomic system that we use till today. And what he did was to use morphological features, like your artificial classification models, to classify organisms and to identify them. So he used like hierarchy. He introduced the word hierarchy into classification of organisms. So he developed the hierarchical, the ranking. When you say hierarchy, talking about ranking, right? So he used ranking to classify organisms. So he first divided organisms into two kingdoms: kingdom Plantae and the Animalia. And this guy was regarded as the father of a modern taxonomy, Carolus Linnaeus. Okay. So we said we introduced the word hierarchy, which means ranking. When you talk about hierarchy, you are talking about rank, right? The different ranks are referred to as hierarchy. So he classified organisms into different, using 7 levels of classification or organization. The kingdom, we said there are 2 kingdoms, right? The kingdom Plantae and Animalia. So kingdom was divided into phylum or division for plants. You know all of this from a secondary school biology anyway. Now, what I want to mention here is that as you move from kingdom down to species, the shared properties, don't forget we said we are classifying using shared properties or similarities. So those shared properties decrease rather. The shared properties decrease as you move from kingdom to species level of classification. So the unit of classification is the species. So as you move from kingdom to phylum to class to other family, genus, and species, the shared properties decrease, the complexity decreases, the number of organisms that you have also decreases as you move down the group. If you remember your chemistry, down the group and across the period. Okay. Right. So as you move down the group in the hierarchy of classification, all those properties that they share decreases. The number of organisms decreases and the complexity that you have also decreases. For instance, all organisms, right? All plants will fit into the kingdom or animal. Let's use animal. All animals will fit into the kingdom Animalia, right? Then when you go to the phylum Chordata, it is going to be different. Yes or yes? When you come to the class Mammalia, for instance, we're classifying human being, it's going to be different. When you come to the family Hominidae, right, it's going to be different because here in the kingdom Animalia, you are going to have your fishes, your toad, your snake, your worms, and what have you. Then when you come to the phylum Chordata, you are not going to have your worms and what have you, your crustaceans and what are your oysters and what have you in that phylum Chordata. When you come to the class Mammalia, you are not going to be having your snake in class Mammalia, right? So that is how the number of organisms, the complexity decreases down the group, right? And we can also have sub. We can have subphylum, subfamily, subkingdom, and sub-order. But majorly, these are the 7 hierarchical hierarchy that this guy, Linnaeus, proposed. And it is still what we use it today. And I don't see this changing tomorrow, except we can now add. You know, research doesn't end. So maybe scientists can come up tomorrow and maybe add another level. Maybe between class and order, they may have another one. We don't know. But for now, these are the 7 levels of organization that we have under the modern classification system proposed by Carolus Linnaeus. Okay, before we proceed, do we have any question? Any question? What did you call the habitat name for air? Arboreal. Air. Okay, let me type it. The habitats, the group of organisms that are found in the air are known as a arboreal. The arboreal, yeah. Okay, let's also go to YouTube and see what we have there. Our family on YouTube. Good morning. Can you hear me? Good this morning on YouTube. Do we have any question? Mm, just increase the quality of the video. I don't have the power over that. It might be your network or my own. Okay. Apart from the quality of the video, I think everything is okay here. All right. Thank you. Examples of family are, it depends on the organism that we ask this question. Eniola Emmanuel. Examples of family depends on the organism that you are classifying now. All organisms belong to the same or different families, depending on what you are classifying. So the family of goat, for instance, will not be the same as the family of hen. The family of hen will not be the same as the family of elephants. So it depends on what organism that you are classifying. But you are still going to classify human. So we might be able to, you will know the family of human. So if you want to know the family of any organism, just go and classify it. Just go to Google and say, classify goats, classify hen, classify ostrich. So you will see those family that the particular organism you are interested in belongs to. Okay, now let's distinguish between categories and taxa, right? Now, when you, in this hierarchic system of classification, you might be adding category or taxon or what have you. Now, each level, like the kingdom, the phylum, the class, right, is referred to as a category. For instance, kingdom Animalia, kingdom is the category, right? Then the named group in that particular level is the taxon, plural is taxa. For instance, kingdom Animalia, kingdom is the category. The taxon is the Animalia. Class, human belongs to the class Mammalia. Class is the category. Mammalia is the taxon. So when if you deal in this field of biology, you'll be hearing something like groups, categories, taxon, right? So taxon simply means the named group in a particular category. Each of the 7, kingdom down to species, is a category. Category, what's it? Category kingdom, category order, category family, right? But the named group in that category is the taxon. For instance, humans belong to the class Mammalia, right? These are organisms that their young ones suck milk, right? Now, the Mammalia is the taxon, right? That class is the category. We belong to the family Hominidae. Family is the category. Hominidae is the taxon. So that is just, this slide is just to distinguish between the two words in case you come across them in your personal study. And somebody can also ask you in your exam. So the named group of organisms at a particular level is the taxon. Why each level from kingdom down to species is the category. Okay. So let's look at okay, this also talks about the taxonomic hierarchy that was propounded by Calenus. The kingdom, like I said earlier, is the most general that have all the organisms, right, that you are looking at. Then as you move, the number decreases, the complexity decreases, and the down to species level, which is unique to each individual. For instance, in your family, right, in your own family, there is only one, for okay, my own, let's say Fakorede now. So in Fakorede, in our line, I will be the only Fakorede Taiwo. Okay, there might be another Taiwo if we have another set of twins, but let's use a common name. Maybe Samson, for instance. So Fakorede Samson. Fakorede is the family name, but I will be the only Samson in that family. But nowadays, people name, you see cousin giving, okay, my cousin answers Tolulope, okay, my sis is Toluke, let me give my child Tolulope as well. But that name, what I mean is that the species is unique. That is the name that is unique to you, right? In your maybe you are Adeleye Oyenkansola, in that family, among your siblings, you are the only Onyekonsola. That Onyekonsola is specific, is unique to one individual in that family. So also we have the species. The species is unique, is an entity, is the smallest entity in that classification. Is a whole organism, right? So, and this is the unit of classification. So you cannot have two Homo sapiens. You cannot call goats sapiens and call humans sapiens. Just as we cannot call you Onyekonsola and still call another member of that family Onyekonsola, born by the same father and mother. Is it Onyekonsola is it Onyekonsola the only name we have? No. So also we have here. And like I said, as you move, the number decrease. So if I ask you which of the following has the most number of organisms, and we have genus option A, class option B, order option C, family option D. I'm sure you know what answer to pick there. So just rank, right? Just rank: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and the species. So, and you can use some words, maybe King Philip comes on Kinikon for grammar, speech, soup, or whatever. Some people use mnemonics to remember all of those words. So just know how you remember them: KPCOFGS. So when you know that, then rank which one is most encompassing. The one that is on top will be more encompassed than what you have down. Okay, so the kingdom was the most inclusive and the species is unique, the least inclusive. So based on the new discovery, another taxon was added. Like I said, that what we have now is just 7, but research can come tomorrow and add more, like this Carl Woos did in 1990. So we now have what we know as a domain. Who is this person disturbing me now? You people should not abuse the privilege of you having to enter my DM. You have said something about this, your MTH, and we have addressed this, and you are still telling me that Sabine sent something this morning. The test we hold, please choose between your MTH class and biology tests. And I did not fix the text on my own. I fixed the test based on what the faculty timetable says. So if somebody comes in to fix MTH yesterday evening, I even fixed my test before in the morning. So the notice for the test came earlier than the notice of the mathematics. I have biology on the faculty timetable that I don't create on my own, not mathematics. So please let know, and I'm going to blog that in the video after this class. You have addressed, come to me, we have addressed this, and you are still telling me what Sabine says. So what Sabine says should override what the faculty timetable says. I'm going to block you, that individual. Please don't get me angry. Don't let me ban people from coming to my DM. So please, so we have based on new discoveries, we have another heading above kingdom, right? That was introduced by Carl Woos in 1990. So members of the same domain are now most diverse, while members of the same species are most similar. So we have a kingdom. So now we have domain above a kingdom, based on research by Carl Woos in 1990. So we can now have domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. And you can see the inverted triangle there. You can see that the domain is the widest, right? And the species is the smallest. That tells you that everything that you have decreases down the group. So we have the two kingdom system. So this talks about the early system of classification. This classified organisms into two: Plantae and Animalia. We have plants, fungi, photosynthetic, we're all included in Plantae. Then animals, the heterotrophic protists such as amoeba were also included in the Animalia.
And this has been revised several times. So that was under the two kingdom of classification by Linnaeus, the Animalia. But plants and fungi are not the same, right? So plant is not, fungi are not plants, although they are share some properties. Okay, so that was the two kingdom of classification by plants, whereby you have plants kingdom into kingdom Plantae, then other animals and heterotrophic protists like your algae, amoeba, and what have you, into Animalia. Then we have the five kingdom system that was proposed by Whittaker in 1969. We have kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plants, Plantae, and kingdom Animalia. Then here we have the prokaryotes into the kingdom Monera. We have the protists in Protista, unicellular eukaryotes that were not plants or animals or fungi. Then we have fungi alone. Then we have Plantae and the Animalia. This talks about the history of classification and what we've had and what we now had. Then the three domains proposed by Carl Woese, like we said earlier. So based on his study on the ribosomal RNA, Carl Woese proposed a three-domain system in 1990. So we have the domain bacteria, which comprises the true bacteria or eubacteria, in archaea, which comprises the archaeans, which are also prokaryotes, and we have the domain eukarya, which comprises the eukaryotes. I'm sure you know the difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Eukaryotes have membrane-bound organelles and a definite nucleus, while prokaryotes lack membrane-bound organelles and the nucleus. So this table compares the three domains and the characteristics that they have in common and their characteristics. For a domain eubacteria, their cell walls are made up of murine as well as the archaea, while eukaryotes they don't have cell wall but plasma membrane. The eukarya and the archaea are unicellular, whereas the eukaryotes are multicellular, mostly multicellular. For the nucleus, eukarya have diffuse nucleus. That is not definite, whereas the eukaryotes have the eubacteria and archaea have diffuse nucleus because they are prokaryotes, whereas the eukaryotes have definite membrane-bound organelles and nucleus. And this table just summarizes what we have between them. So let's look at the diversity of life and look at the five kingdoms of classification: the kingdom Monera, the kingdom Protista, the kingdom Fungi, the kingdom Plantae, and the kingdom Animalia. So kingdom Monera is divided into two domains. We have the archaea bacteria, which are the ancient bacteria, and the eubacteria, which are the true bacteria. These organisms, the Monera or the archaea bacteria, they live in harsh environments, just at extremely high temperature, high salinity, that is the salt content, very high. You can also find them in areas that lack oxygen. So in the extremes are where you find them, where they are extremely high temperature, known as the thermophiles. Thermophiles are those ones that are found in areas where there are very, very high temperature, as high as 120 degrees, they are still surviving. They are prokaryotic in nature, that is, they lack membrane-bound organelles, they are microscopic, and they are unicellular organisms. They have cell walls made of peptidoglycan and what have you. Examples include Escherichia coli, Lactobacillus, Streptococcus pneumoniae that cause pneumonia, right? So all of these they belong to the kingdom Monera. Please don't forget that this comprises the archaea bacteria and the eubacteria. Archaea bacteria are ancient, eubacteria are the true bacteria, and these are the examples of some organisms in the kingdom Monera: the Allobacterium that are all shaped, the Oligobacterium Helicobacter pylori that cause your ulcer or what have you. Now, Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Okay, the kingdom Protista. The kingdom Protista are eukaryotes, right? They are mostly unicellular. They are autotrophic, that is, they can either make their own food. We have some photosynthetic, some algae, and some are also heterotrophic that they rely on inorganic substances for their food. That is, they get food from other sources. They cannot manufacture their own food. They reproduce asexually by binary fission or sexually by conjugation. Examples include your seaweeds, your algae, your amoeba, paramecium, and euglena. These ones are in the kingdom Protista. And here we have some examples of the animals or organisms in that kingdom: your slime mold, your amoeba, euglena, dinoflagellates, paramecium, diatom, and the microhaga. All of these are examples of organisms in the kingdom Protista. And some of them, they also have flagella for locomotion, cilia, pseudopodia, and amoeba, and what have you. Okay, the kingdom fungi. These ones are heterotrophic. I'm sure you know what we mean by heterotrophic and autotrophic. I don't need to start hammering that. Heterotrophic cannot manufacture their own food. They rely on already made food in terms of inorganic substances to get their food. Autotrophs can manufacture their own food, whether chemosynthetically or photosynthetically. Then eukaryotic, and they are eukaryotes and they are multicellular. I'm sure you know multicellular. They have different numeral cells. They are unicellular. They are non-motile. These guys are motile, right? The kingdom Protista. These ones, the kingdom fungi, they are non-motile. They have cell wall made up of chitin. They have extracellular digestion. They may be terrestrial or aquatic. Examples include your mushroom, your rhizopus, and they are found in a damp area, such as bread, mold, your decaying food, and leather. So these are the kingdom fungi. Now I need you to, kingdom Plantae. These ones are they are autotrophic, they are eukaryotic, they are multicellular, they have cell wall made up of cellulose, and they are non-motile. So I need you to give me differences between plants and animals. Plants and plants and fungi were classified under what's it called? Under Plantae, under the two system classification system, right? You have the kingdom, the fungi, like this is the slide I was referring to, whereby we have a what's it called? Kingdom plants, and we have plants and fungi into Plantae, and animals and some protists into Animalia. And we said this guy's study, Carl said that carried out his study on rRNA. rRNA means ribosomal RNA. I think we mentioned that under our types of RNA in the biomolecules. We have ribosomal RNA, we have a messenger RNA, and transfer RNA. So this guy used differences in ribosomal RNA to look at organisms. How do they differ when we study this particular molecule, the ribosomal RNA in that organism? So he was able to see that we can classify them into three major domains: the domain bacteria, the domain archaea, and the domain eukarya. So you may want, if you are interested, you may want to read about Carl research in 1990. Google will bring out fantastic results for you that you can read. Okay. This is where we are. So I now ask you that. I said that plants are different from fungi. So I need you to give me the major differences. I think one of them is their cell wall. Plant cell wall is made up of cellulose. Fungi cell wall is made up of what? Chitin. So that is one difference. So they are not the same. Okay, kingdom Animalia. Animals are eukaryotic, multicellular, and heterotrophic organisms. They are motile and ingest by ingesting food substances. Digestion is intracellular. Any undigested food is rid of by digestion. Then this group from simple organisms like your worms to the complex creatures like your elephant, or even the blue whale. The blue whale. Okay, so that is the kingdom Animalia. I don't think we need to overflog that. Then we have different types of animals. You have the invertebrates, the ones that have no backbone, and the vertebrates, the ones that have a backbone. So let's classify humans. For instance, we humans belong to the kingdom Animalia. What domain will you put human? Domain eukarya, right? If you want to start from the domain, it's going to be domain eukarya. Let's go back to that slide on domain. Here we said that the study of Carl Wohl's classified organisms added this domain, right? So if you want to start classifying human from domain, human will belong to the domain eukarya. Eukarya, the third one down there. Domain eukarya. In plants, we call it eukaryota. Okay. Classification of humans. Domain, okay, domain eukarya, kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, so phylum Vertebrata, class Mammalia, order Primates, family Hominidae, genus Homo, species Sapiens. You see that the genus and the Homo are written so you have the kingdom Animalia, the phylum Chordata, and what have you. So let's look at why do we classify human into the kingdom Animalia, for instance, right? So what does it mean when you say an organism belongs to the class Mammalia? So the kingdom Mammalia is because humans are multicellular and heterotrophic. So all organisms in that kingdom, they are multicellular and heterotrophic. Then the phylum phylum, what was that phylum? Chordata, yeah? Phylum Chordata means they are what? They have dorsal nerve, they have cord, and when we die, we also have skeleton, right? We have a skeleton. So all organisms in that class, in that phylum Chordata, have that feature. They have dorsal nerve, they have cord, they have skeleton. In the subphylum Vertebrata, yeah, Vertebrata means we have notochord instead of vertebral column. Then class Mammalia, because we are warm-blooded and we are hairy, and our young ones suck milk. We breastfeed. And it is not only humans that are mammalia. Goats is also mammalia. So the person that was asking me that how many group family that we have with difference. So you see that, like I said earlier, you cannot have snake in this class, for instance. You cannot have birds in this class because they are not hairy, they have feathers, right? And their young ones don't suck milk. That is class Mammalia. Then we have the other primates. Other primates means we are some organisms in that can be tree dwellers, right? Then we have 5 degrees for grasping and holding onto something. So all organisms, the primates, the orangutan, the chimpanzee, the old world monkey, and what have you, the apes, they also belong to that order, the primates, because some of them are tree dwellers and they can grasp with their digits. Family, Hominidae. Hominidae means organisms that are bipedal, that is, they can walk on 2 legs, right? They can walk on 2 legs and they can stand erect. That is a bipedal. And those minor apes as well. The genus, Homo, means closely related. When you see homogeneous, means homozygous, right? Related. Homo means related, and the species sapiens. Species sapiens means organisms that have sparse body hair, right? We humans now, this one is specific to human. There is sparse body hair. You can't compare your body hair to chimpanzee own or goats or any other mammalia, right? So here, this species, this feature, sparse body hair and highly developed brain is specific to human. So when you look at the other species that you might have of organism, so that species name is specific to organisms. For instance, humans are the only organism with well-developed brain. We don't have any other organisms that have well-developed brains like humans. And with that, we have come to the end of today's class, which is a classification. On Wednesday, by God's grace, we will start binomial nomenclature. So let's end it here for today and give room for question and interaction. So if you have any question, you can drop it in the chat room, or you can, I think you can now unmute yourself. You can now unmute yourself. So if you have any question, drop in the chat room. Otherwise, we are done for today. How does a notochord differ from a vertebral column? Arboreal is for above ground, those species that live in trees. Which one is arboreal is for above ground? Let's go to YouTube and see what we have there from our people on YouTube. YouTube family, good morning. Do we have any question from you? I'm with you guys. Do you have any question? It is attendants that are still classified as Homo sapiens sapiens. I think I sent this thing now, the class, what was it called? The area of concentration via your class. Does the subdivision also apply to genus? You can have subdivision, you can have subgenus, right? Then, yeah, some classify for them to subspecies, like some, like we have some people say Homo sapiens sapiens, but I'm not really sure the brain behind classifying into subspecies, species. But I know that you can have all the you can have subfamilies, sub what have you. Okay. I think we can call it a success already. Thank you for who is this person? Cellular reproduction is different from there are different topics now. Animal reproduction, please, we're dealing with animal reproduction this time around. Why is it notochord instead of vertebral column in the animal? Well, they are different. The notochord is different from vertebral column. Why? I don't know why God made it that way, but I may be able to say how they are different, right? One is maybe in their composition, right? The notochord is made up of cartilage, something like cartilage, right? Whereby the vertebral column is bone. Maybe that is what I can say. But why is it that? I don't know why God created it that way. Just like asking why humans have bones and the earthworm doesn't have bones. So scientists studied this and said that, okay, what we have in human is notochord, and what we have in those are not a vertebral column, right? So it depends on that's how nature designed it, right? So why, I don't know, but how is that one is notochord, the other one is a vertebral column, and these are different. Why is it so? I don't know why is it so, but how or what is it is that they have a one half notochord, others have vertebral column. Okay, I think can you repeat the decreasing hierarchical order? Yes, I said as you move down the group from class to species, the complexity decreases. The number of organisms that you have also decreases. So that is it. Just like if you have one, you can have, for instance, for the kingdom Animalia, you can have all the animals. It's not you have all the animals in this world that you can think of. The mosquito, even your bed bug, right? In the kingdom Animalia. But when you come down to species, when you come down to class Mammalia, for instance, you might have, maybe if you have like 2 million species in the kingdom Animalia, when you come down to class Mammalia, you can have like 500,000. When you come down to other, what is it called? Other primates, you can have maybe like 2,000. When you come down to family Hominidae, maybe 500. When you come back to genus, maybe just 2 or 5. And then when you come to species, just 1. You can't have 2 species, right? So that is just the decrease in the hierarchy in that classification order. Are we doing photosynthesis? When? How? Dr. Adebeshi must have taught you photosynthesis. This person asked, what is a systematics? Adeyemi Boluwatife. I said systematics is the branch of biology that deals with identification, naming, and classification of organisms. So under systematics, we have classification, we have naming, and we have identification. So under classification, the branch that deals with classification is taxonomy, right? I said systematics is the identification, naming, and grouping of organisms. So classification has 3 major parts. Systematics has 3 major parts. Identification, classification. We group them under taxonomy. Then naming, binomial nomenclature, is just the way we name, right? So systematics has 3 major branches or aspects of biology: taxonomy, identification, and the naming. I hope that is clear. Sir, you said that fungi is not a plant, but it is still classified under Plantae. Nobody classified plants under Plantae. It was classified under Plantae when you have the 2 kingdoms of classification. But now we have 5 kingdoms, right? Although 2, the Monera, no longer relate with them. So fungi is now standalone. Is a standalone under the kingdom fungi. So you cannot classify fungi under Plantae, kingdom Plantae now. When we have the 2 systems, was when everything is just plant and animal. But now, due to advances in research, we now know that fungi are not plants. So you cannot classify under plants anymore. Okay, thank you, everybody. And do have a wonderful day. And all the best in your test. Homo sapiens can both be referred to as genetic and generic name too. You will learn that when we get to binomial nomenclature. Don't worry. Okay, bye-bye, everybody.